All right, let's get into it. The second first round pick that we had, the absolute surprise of the draft class here for the New York Giants. And that's Jaxson Dart. So, first, the trade itself. Let's talk about the trade because I already see some of y'all in the chat here talking about it. So, the trade was the Giants obviously get pick 25 from the Texans. In response to that, the Texans get 34, 99, and next year's third. So, here's why I look at it, guys. I hear people, you gave up 3 picks to go get Jaxson Dart. I don't like to look at it that way. Your second round pick is a wash because you got rid of that to get up to there. In reality, what you did is you gave up the comp pick in the third round this year, which is 99, practically a fourth, and a third rounder next year to move up the 9 spots to go ahead and get your quarterback. Now, I don't think losing 99 really hurt this draft that bad. Could we have got a decent player for it? Yeah, of course. 99, there was definitely good players on the board. I'm not going to say that otherwise. That'd be crazy. But is anybody looking at this draft class right now going, oh, God, this draft was so close to being good, but if we just had that pick 99, that would have put it over the edge. Nobody's saying that. They're all saying what a great draft class this was, because it was. We'll get to the draft class grades later on, but this was a great draft, guys. So I'm not mad about losing the 99. Would I wish we had next year's third? Of course I do. But if you're telling me I had to make these 2 moves to go ahead and get the quarterback that the Giants wanted, I don't think we gave up that much. It's not we gave up next year's first round pick or something crazy like that. And the big thing right now is it's a debate amongst Giants fans, and I'm seeing y'all in the chat right now as we're doing this live talking about it. Would we have been able to get Jaxson Dart later on? That's the big question. Now, there are rumors the Rams wanted him. I've seen both that the Rams would have and would not have taken him. So I'm not going to sit there and say that. But the Rams did trade out the second that the Rams had the were on the clock there. Is that because of Jaxson Dart being taken, or was that the plan all along? I have no way of knowing that. None of us do. I'm just saying it lends a little more smoke to that potential fire there. Then you throw into the fact that the Saints were calling up to move up. That is a known thing. Now, were they calling to move up for Jaxson Dart? We have no way of knowing. The Browns were also calling to move up. Again, were they moving up for Jaxson Dart? We have no way of knowing. So all we do know is the Giants moved 1 pick ahead of the Rams, who Jaxson Dart himself said the 2 people he spent the most times pre-draft with was Brian Daboll and Sean McVay. And that 2 other teams, the Browns and the Saints, who both needed a quarterback and took 1, 2 in the case of the Browns there in this draft, were trying to move up. The Giants also, let's be very frank, guys, did not know what was going on, truth or not. They have no way of knowing, same as you and I. They're not in the draft room. So, to me, if you're going to give up a very late round third, it's almost a fourth, and a third to get the quarterback that you want, I'm okay with it. Now, those of you who watch this show on a regular basis know I'm not a huge fan of Jaxson Dart. I have not changed my opinion on Jaxson Dart. I'm not going to. I watched the tape. I scouted him. I gave my opinion. Did that 3 months ago. We did it even while the season was still going on because, let's be frank, the Giants suck so bad. We started talking about quarterbacks that early on. But what I do look at is the Giants wanted this guy. The Giants went up and got their guy. They didn't give up a ton to get it. And keep in mind, at that point in the draft, the only quarterback who was gone was Cam Ward. So they literally got the best quarterback they possibly could have in their eyes. And then on top of that, what Jay just pointed out here as well. If he pans out, because you moved up, you now have a 5th-year option on him. That is not being talked about enough, in my opinion there. So good job, Jay, for pointing that out. A 5th-year option on a quarterback is so valuable, it's not even funny. Let me ask you this. If he pans out at all and he's a good starting quarterback for you guys, in 4 years when we're picking him up on a fifth-year option and you don't have to pay him all this crazy amount of money, or you have a little more leverage when it comes to contract extensions, are you guys going to be complaining about the trade up? If you're complaining about it now, would you in that scenario? I really highly, highly doubt that, guys. And again, it's all on if he pans out or not. And that's a lot about what this draft class is going to be. Let's be very frank on that. It's going to very much depend on how this draft class pans out. So, the first question of this whole draft is, should we have made the trade? In my opinion, we should have. If you're that confident in this guy and you thought there was a chance in hell that one of those three teams were going to take him, yes, you did the right thing by moving up in front of all three. Now, it's a gamble. It's a gamble. They could have maybe not made the trade. He could have been sitting there for them in the second round. We have no way of knowing that. The Giants have no way of knowing that. But they weren't willing to take the risk. And they wanted to go ahead and make sure they got him. Plus, now they have that fifth-year option. I'm perfectly fine with this trade here. The second part is always whenever you look at a trade, you go, who won the trade? And in my eyes, both teams won. The Giants got the quarterback they wanted. The Texans got a little bit better assets. They got a couple of third rounders in one of the very good third round draft here. Let's be honest, the third round had a lot of good players in it, and another one for next year. So I think both teams won, honestly, guys. This is a very rare one. This is like that Lions and Rams kind of trade with Stafford. It's like where you can look at it, and obviously time will tell in the end who actually won. But at first glance, to me, both teams did a very good job in this trade, and both teams won. Now, on to the player itself here. Jaxson Dart. This past season, 13 games, 276 completions on 398 attempts, 69.3 completion percentage, 4,279 yards, 29 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. I really think that you look at the numbers and you look at the game tape, you'll kind of see what you like in Jaxson Dart, what other people like in Jaxson Dart. He's a fun player to watch. My issues are some of him on the reading the defensive skills. That's a lot of things we talked about as far as why we didn't necessarily like him too much going out. What I said, and I didn't even watch my initial scouting report, guys, I wanted to be able to speak from things that I've seen pre that, post that, all that kind of stuff there. But what I like about him is he's got the talent as far as the the physicality. He's got the leadership skills. You do see some of that. What I don't like is his ability to read the defenses overall, though. I think in this offense he had an Ole Miss, it was kind of like, okay, here's the play. Here's your first read. Here's your second read. Get the damn ball out of your hands. Some of that is on him. What I saw on tape, because I saw point-blank guys wide open that he just didn't even go near. Some of that's on the offense. Obviously Ole Miss and the Lane Kiffin offense is not known exactly for being NFL quarterback friendly. But I did see a lot of issues like that. And I think what scares me about him, and I've heard a lot of people reference him that, and I've heard a lot of people flip out about the references, is Daniel Jones 2.0. Daniel Jones 2.0. And I said it myself, and I'll stick by it, because I saw a lot of the things that I don't like about Daniel Jones in Jaxson Dart. And I do see a lot of things I like about Jaxson Dart also. In Daniel Jones, in Jaxson Dart. I liked the physicality that DJ had. I see that in Jaxson Dart. I like the leadership that DJ had. Because listen, love him or not, the kid was a leader. You never saw a guy in the locker room talk trash about him. Then you look at the lack of anticipation at times, the trouble reading defenses at times. Very similar players. Here's the difference, guys. DJ couldn't change that. We don't know if Jaxson Dart can change that. And that's the thing. We're going to have to give him a chance to see. We also got to look at this. Brian Daboll, love him or hate him, and listen, I got mixed feelings of him myself. Brian Daboll was saddled with Daniel Jones. Now, the second he gave him that Joe Shane and Brian Daboll agreed to give him that extension, he became their quarterback. I will stand by that statement. But you also got to look at it from the perspective of there wasn't really a lot of options at that point. The Giants had a really good season. They were late the first round. There wasn't really great quarterbacks that they could trade up for. There wasn't a great quarterback on free agency. They kind of did what they had to do at the time, in my eyes. This is the quarterback that Brian Daboll wanted, point blank wanted. Anytime that you can get a player that your coach, your GM, your front office is excited about coaching, working with, you do it. If it's possible, you do it. Because this is the year that we're going to have to figure out what's going on with Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll, guys. This is that season. And I look at it from this perspective of, if I'm going to go ahead, let's say me as an employee of a company, let's say I'm given an ultimatum. Hey, you got one more year, you got one more month, you get whatever to show you can do this job, which is basically what Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll were both given this year by John Mara, at least by the public comments that John Mara's made. Give him the guys they want. That way there's no excuses. Absolutely no excuses. And I'll also say this. If hypothetically Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen are moved on from next year, because I've heard a lot of this talk too as well, this trade, in my eyes, does not preclude the Giants from making a move next year at quarterback. If you think at the end of this year that Jaxson Dart has not shown you enough that he can be a starting quarterback in this league, and it cannot be a successful, not just a starting, but a successful starting quarterback in this league, there is nothing stopping the Giants from making a move at the quarterback position next year whatsoever. And then Jaxson Dart is just your backup for a couple of years. A couple of third-round picks is not going to make me say, "Oh, we gave up some picks. We made a trade. I can't get a different quarterback next year." That'd be foolish. That'd be as foolish as keeping Daniel Jones for 6 years. Let's be very frank there as well. So I get why some Giants fans are afraid of it. But this trade is not being given enough stuff up. It's not like we gave up next year's first and a third and a second here and all this kind of stuff. This could be very much a Josh Rosen scenario. You got 1 year to prove you can do something. That's what I look at. 1 year. And if I don't see promise in you after a year, and there's a brand new front office that made no promises to you whatsoever, there's a brand new coach that made no promises to you whatsoever, you're going to be one and done. So I don't think Giants fans need to worry about that so much. Let Daboll work with the kid. Let's see if he's the quarterback whisperer that he and a lot of other people think he is. Now, I don't think he is. I know some of y'all in the chat that are here on a regular basis don't think he is. He thinks he is. A lot of people think he is. I've seen a lot of people point blank that I actually have respect for as commentators, sports personalities say point blank, Brian Daboll is a quarterback guy. Give him the quarterback he wants. Let him cook. Well, guess what? He's cooking right now. And let's find out if the dish comes out right. This is his chance. This is his moment in the kitchen. And he only gets one chance now at this point. So his job's on the line. Jaxson Dart's job's on the line. He's not started a day in this as a quarterback yet. But I think this was the right move overall, regardless of what I think about Jaxson Dart as a quarterback. And I will also go record on it right now. No matter how much that I did not like him as a prospect in the first round, I said a second, third round, whatever, I wouldn't hate it. No matter what I think of him as a prospect, I will root for this kid. I will hope to be wrong. And, if I am proven wrong, I will be very, very happy. I'm a Giants fan first before I am anything else. I would rather be wrong about this kid and let him be special than go ahead and be right and go, "Oh, I told you so. I told you so. I told you he was going to be good." No, I don't want to say that at all. First off, I won't be childish to say it like that. I was like, "Yeah, I was right. It happens." But I really, really want a chance to see what this kid can do because he's handpicked by Daboll. By all reports, he's handpicked by Daboll. And I'm curious what I see some of you guys talking about Kafka. I haven't heard anything about Kafka in this. I'm kind of curious to see what Kafka thinks of him. I'd love to see a soundbite and later on an interview with Mike Kafka to see what he thinks. because I do think he had a good hand in the development of Mike Kafka, and at the very least was on the sidelines for. I'm sorry, of Patrick Mahomes, and at the very least was on the sidelines for. At the very least, he saw Andy Reid do it, so he's got experience in that position. Like I said, I'm excited for what the future brings for him. I'm dare I say hopeful? Which is so weird as a Giant fan. Hopeful, and I'll say this: I do a lot of listening. You guys know that watch this show on a regular basis. I've been in sales jobs for many, many years. Part of what I do in these jobs always is reading people's body language, reading their speech patterns, reading different things like kind of micro expression kind of things. Jaxson Dart has actually very much impressed me with the way he's handled the media so far. And that's one thing you hear all the time with New York Giants and New York in general. You need to be able to handle this media. He's built for this media. I can tell you that, guys, right now off the bat. And one of the things that I think really impressed me the most about this kid, and again, part of what I just do, and I say it point blank, I look at little things that tell me a person's true personality. Whenever the Giants draft a player, let's be honest, every team drafts a player, but we're talking the Giants here. Whenever the Giants draft a player, they will always take a video for social media of him coming in the building for the very first time. They did it with Abdul Carter. They did it last year, as well. They did the year before. Every year they do it. Jaxson Dart comes in the building. Whole family with him. What's the very first thing this man does? He opens the door for his mother, sister, younger brother. By the way, his name Diesel. Cool name, Diesel Dart. But opens the door for them. Shows respect for the people that are there and helped him get to where he's at. Right off the bat. And let me be very frank when it comes to the fact that when you're in that kind of moment, you're ecstatic, you're excited, your emotions are taking over. Whether or not you want to think of it that way, that is a moment of your life you will never forget. The very first thing that kid did in that moment is say, let me take care of the people that helped me get there. And open the door and let his mother, sister, and younger brother get through. Weirdly enough, he didn't let his dad go through. I think that's just a funny thing, but I really thought there's a guy that you just saw his true colors right there. You saw what kind of respectful person he is. And you know what that is? That's a leader. That is a leader right there. That's the guy at the end of the game that's going to go to the guy who made a bad play and lift him up. I'm telling you right now, that's the kind of person this kid's going to be. And again, I know I'm reading so much into a very small thing. It's what I do all day long. And I'm 9 times out of 10 correct when I come to reading people's personalities and stuff. Am I wrong sometimes? Of course, we all are. But I saw the way he handled that media, and I saw the way he handled that moment, and I saw a leader. And I was ecstatic about that part. And I'm glad to see it. While we're on the topic of his family, let's get into this real quick as well. People, leave his mom alone. I don't know if you guys have seen this whole thing. So his mother is, I guess, a marathon runner and a fitness trainer. And she's kind of been blowing it up on Instagram and all that kind of stuff. Let's not be the creepy fan base. That's just a little much for me. That's it's a little crazy there, guys. Let's not be the creepers. You can say, okay, great, she's keeping in shape, whatever. Let's not be the creepy fan base. Because I'm seeing some people on Giants Twitter and comments on Facebook and stuff like that. That's his mom, guys. Let's have a little respect for the new quarterback. That's just no. I'll tell you right now, people talk about my mom that way. If I was his age getting drafted, I would not be too happy. Let's keep it PG at least, guys. All right.
If you like that clip, then you will love the full episodes too. Find us on your favorite podcast app and look for us on all your favorite social media platforms.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.